Aiden didn't come home that night, or the next. On the third day, I found a note on the kitchen counter written in his precise handwriting. I'm staying at the hotel while we both figure out what we want. The penthouse is yours for as long as you need it. Take care of yourself. The formal tone cut deeper than anger would have. This was Aiden retreating behind his walls, protecting himself the only way he knew how. I spent the days wandering the empty penthouse like a ghost, seeing him everywhere. At the piano, in the kitchen making coffee, curled up on the couch reading financial reports. The silence felt oppressive without the sound of his breathing beside me at night. Eleanor called on the fourth day. "You look terrible," she said when I answered the door, taking in my unshaven face and wrinkled clothes. "Good to see you too." She brushed past me into the apartment, surveying the space with sharp eyes. "Where is he?" "Hotel. We had a fight." "About the London offer?" I stared at her. "How did you?" "Please. I know everything that happens in my grandson's life. The question is, what are you planning to do about it?" "There's nothing to do. We said things that can't be taken back." Eleanor settled herself on the couch with the air of someone planning to stay a while. "Tell me what happened." Against my better judgment, I found myself recounting the entire argument. Eleanor listened without interruption, her expression growing more thoughtful with each detail. "You're both idiots," she said when I finished. "Excuse me?" "You heard me. Two intelligent men, deeply in love with each other, destroying their relationship because you're both too scared to be vulnerable. It's not that simple." "It's exactly that simple." She leaned forward, eyes flashing. "Aiden offered you everything, his love, his future, his complete commitment. And you threw it back in his face because you're convinced you're not worthy of it. That's not. And he, bless his stubborn heart, is hiding in a hotel room convincing himself that loving someone means giving them space to reject him." Her words hit uncomfortably close to home. "What am I supposed to do? He made his choice. He made an offer. There's a difference." Eleanor stood, smoothing her skirt. "The question is, what choice are you going to make?" After she left, I sat alone with her words echoing in my mind. Was she right? Had I sabotaged the best thing in my life because I was too afraid to believe I deserved it? That night, I found myself at the piano, running my fingers over the keys without pressing them. On the music stand was the piece Aiden had written for me, the one titled Jake's Song. I'd never heard it played, only seen the notes on paper. Slowly, haltingly, I began to pick out the melody. I wasn't a pianist, but I knew enough basics to make my way through the simpler passages. What emerged was haunting and beautiful, full of longing and hope intertwined. As I played, I thought about the man who had composed this for me, who had seen something in a desperate stranger worth saving, who had learned to love not despite my flaws, but because of them, who had offered me forever, and whom I had rejected out of fear. The next morning, I made a decision. Finding Aiden required calling in favors I didn't know I had. Eleanor, it turned out, had been keeping tabs on his location through her own network of contacts. He was staying at the Meridian Hotel, the same property he'd been trying to acquire when we first acknowledged our feelings for each other. The irony wasn't lost on me. I found him in the hotel bar at 2 p.m., nursing what looked like his first drink of many to come. He'd lost weight, I noticed. There were dark circles under his eyes, and his usually perfect appearance was disheveled. He looked up when I approached, and I saw a flash of hope in his eyes before it was quickly shuttered. "Jake." His voice was carefully neutral. "Hi." I slid into the seat across from him, heart hammering. "You look terrible." "Thank you. That's exactly what a man wants to hear." A ghost of a smile crossed his lips, and I felt the tiniest bit of hope. "I learned to play your song," I said. His hand stilled on his glass. "What?" "Jake's song. The piece you wrote for me. I spent all night figuring out how to play it. You don't play piano. I do now. Badly, but I do." I leaned forward. "It's beautiful, Aiden. The most beautiful thing anyone's ever created for me." He was quiet for a long moment. "Why are you here?" "Because I'm an idiot who got scared and said things I didn't mean." "Which things?" "All of it. The part about you getting bored. About this being obsession instead of love. About not believing in us." I reached across the table, covering his hand with mine. "I was wrong about everything except one thing." "What's that?" "I am terrified. Absolutely, completely terrified of loving you as much as I do." Something shifted in his expression. "Why?" "Because you're everything I never thought I could have. Because loving you feels too good to be real, and I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop." I took a shaky breath. "Because I've never had anything worth losing before. And the thought of losing you makes me want to run before you can leave first." "Jake, let me finish. Please." He nodded, and I continued. "You offered me London, offered me forever, and instead of saying yes, I panicked. But I've spent the last week thinking about what my life looks like without you in it. And it looks empty, colorless, like I'm just going through the motions of living instead of actually living." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying yes. To London, to forever, to whatever you're offering. I'm saying I love you more than I'm scared, and I want to build a life with you." He was quiet for so long, I thought I might have lost him completely. "Then, what about the contract? The arrangement? Tear it up. Burn it. It doesn't matter anymore. And your concerns about me controlling you?" I winced. "You weren't trying to control me. You were trying to love me, and I was too scared to see the difference. I could still get bored. Move on to someone else." "You could, but I don't think you will." "Why not?" "Because you wrote me a song. Because you defended me to Blackstone. Because you've never looked at anyone else the way you look at me." I squeezed his hand. "Because you're not your father, and this isn't a business transaction anymore." Tears were sliding down his cheeks now, and he didn't bother to wipe them away. "I thought I'd lost you." "You can't lose me. I'm yours, Aiden. Completely, terrifyingly yours." He stood abruptly, coming around the table to pull me into his arms. The kiss was desperate, hungry, full of a week's worth of longing and fear and relief. "I love you," he whispered against my lips. "God, I love you so much. I love you too. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I hurt you. We both hurt each other. But we're here now. We're here now." I agreed. He pulled back to look at me, and I saw wonder in his eyes. "London, London. Together, together. Forever, forever." This time when he kissed me, it felt like coming home. London was everything I'd dreamed and nothing I'd expected. The flat Aiden had arranged overlooked Hyde Park, with tall windows that let in the gray English light, and made everything feel like a watercolor painting. But it wasn't the city that transformed us. It was the distance from everything we'd known, the chance to build something entirely our own. "I've been thinking," Aiden said one morning over coffee and the Financial Times. Dangerous habit. He smiled, setting aside the paper. "About the business. About what I want my legacy to be. And I want to start a foundation. Something focused on helping people in situations like yours was medical debt, family crisis, people who need a hand up rather than a handout." The idea was so perfectly him that I felt my chest tighten with pride. "That's brilliant. I was hoping you'd help me run it." I looked up from my own paper, startled. Me? You understand what it's like to be desperate, to need help but be too proud to ask for it. You'd know how to reach people who need it most. I don't have any experience with non-profits. Neither did I when I started my first company. We'll learn together. The casual way he said together still sent warmth through me, even after months of hearing it. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. And so began the next chapter of our lives. Days were spent in meetings with lawyers and accountants, setting up the Carter Foundation. Evenings were ours, cooking dinner together, exploring the city, learning each other's rhythms in this new space. The foundation launched 6 months later with a gala that would have made Eleanor proud. Watching Aiden give his speech about second chances and the power of human compassion, I felt overwhelmed by how far we'd both come. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, his eyes finding mine in the crowd. I'd like to introduce you to the foundation's co-director, Jake Morrison. Jake taught me that the best investments aren't in markets or properties. They're in people. And tonight, we begin investing in hope. The applause was thunderous, but all I could focus on was the pride and love in Aiden's eyes as he extended his hand to me. Later, back in our flat, we sat on the couch sharing a bottle of champagne and watching the city lights twinkle beyond our windows. Do you ever regret it? I asked. Giving up the cutthroat business world for nonprofit work? Never. He pulled me closer, pressing a kiss to my temple. Do you ever regret saying yes to London? Never. I turned in his arms to face him. Though I have to ask, what happened to that original contract? A mysterious smile crossed his features. I burned it. When? The night after our first kiss. It seemed inappropriate to keep documentation of a business arrangement when what we had became real. You romantic. Only for you. As we sat there in comfortable silence, I thought about the journey that had brought us here. A year ago, I'd been drowning in debt and desperation. Now I was building a life with a man I loved more than I'd known was possible. Doing work that mattered, surrounded by hope instead of fear. Aiden, thank you. For what? For seeing something in me worth saving. He turned to face me fully, his expression serious. You saved yourself, Jake. I just gave you the space to do it. We saved each other. Yeah, he said softly. We did. Eleanor visited us in London for the foundation's first anniversary. She arrived with her usual fanfare and immediately set about rearranging our flat to her satisfaction. This place has no character, she announced, moving a vase from one table to another. It's all very modern and sterile. It's minimalist, Aiden protested. It's boring. She turned to me. Jake, please tell me you're adding some personality to this space. I'm working on it, I laughed. But your grandson has very particular taste. My grandson has no taste when it comes to making a house feel like a home. That's why he needs you. We were having dinner at our favorite restaurant when Eleanor dropped her bombshell. I have an announcement, she said over dessert. I'm selling the Atlanta house. Aiden nearly choked on his wine. What? Why? Because it's too big for one old woman. And because I've decided to move to London. Here? To London? Don't look so horrified, darling. I won't be living with you. I found a lovely flat in Kensington. But I want to be near family, and you two are my family now. I felt a warmth spread through my chest at being included so casually in that statement. Are you sure, Eleanor? It's a big change. At my age, dear. All changes are big changes. The question is whether they're worth making. She reached across the table to squeeze both our hands. And you two are definitely worth it. Later that night, as we walked along the Thames, Aiden was unusually quiet. Are you okay with her moving here? I asked. More than okay. Terrified, but okay. He stopped walking, turning to face me. Jake, there's something I've been wanting to ask you. Something in his tone made my heart race. What is it? He reached into his jacket pocket and withdrew a small velvet box. My breath caught. I know we've talked about forever, but I want to make it official. He dropped to one knee right there on the embankment, with the London eye spinning slowly behind him and the river reflecting the city lights. Jake Morrison, will you marry me? The ring was perfect, simple, elegant, clearly chosen with care. But it was the expression on Aiden's face that made my vision blur with tears. Yes, I whisper, then louder. Yes, of course, yes. He slipped the ring onto my finger with shaking hands, then stood to kiss me with a passion that made passers-by cheer and applaud. I love you, he said against my lips. I love you too. So much. Even when I'm controlling and obsessive, especially then. He laughed, pulling me closer. Eleanor's going to be insufferable about this. She's going to plan the entire wedding. God help us. We can handle Eleanor Carter. Together. Together. As we walked home through the London streets, I thought about the chain of events that had led us here. A desperate night in a bar. A contract that was supposed to be purely business. A year that changed everything. I'd sold myself to a billionaire expecting to lose my dignity. Instead, I'd found my future. Eleanor's reaction to our engagement was exactly what we'd expected. She immediately appointed herself wedding coordinator and began making lists with military precision. June is perfect for a London wedding, she announced over breakfast the day after Aiden proposed. We'll need at least 6 months to plan properly. The venue will be crucial, somewhere that can accommodate both intimate ceremony and grand reception. Eleanor, Aiden said patiently, we were thinking something small. Nonsense. This is the social event of the season. The reclusive billionaire finally settling down with his mysterious companion. The press alone will be extraordinary.